Here's some lobelia growing in my greenhouse, and I wanted to show you a plant that I'm getting ready to harvest because the flowers are there and ready. And even though I hate to cut it down because it's so beautiful, it's very important medicine. It's a member of the bellflower family, and as you can see, the flowers are teeny, but they're like little bells. And they have 2 upper lobes and 3 lower lobes. They're kind of purplish, bluish, whitish kind of flowers. Here it is, alternate leaves. Those little green balls are, some of them are going to seed already, so it's high time to harvest. There's some more little seed pods. Behind it is some baby passion flower vines growing up. Not ready yet. There's a good one of the leaves there of the passion flower. But we're talking about my lobelia. So I'm going to harvest in just a second. Hi, we just had a little close-up of my lobelia plants, and I'm about to harvest them here in my greenhouse. I'm growing this plant here. I grew it from seed, started a couple months ago, and now it's mature, as you can see. The reason I had to grow it in my greenhouse is because lobelia likes to grow in the woodlands, in kind of wet, moist places under the canopy of trees. And in Colorado, that doesn't happen very often. There's a little bit of lobelia that you might find in the mountains, but it's very rare. So I am growing the medicinal type, which is Lobelia inflata. There's many other varieties. Some varieties are more cultivated for gardens, and they have kind of tiny purple flowers. But this one here, as you can see, has small little bell-shaped flowers that I was describing in the bellflower family. The leaves are a little bit pointy. It's an alternate leaf pattern, and this plant is about 1.5 feet high right now at maturity. And before I cut any, lobelia is sometimes it's called pukeweed. It's one of its nicknames, pukeweed and tobacco weed. And it's called pukeweed because in large doses it makes you throw up. And way back when, in the 1800s, the American eclectic practitioners used it when they did purges and things like that to make people throw up and cleanse themselves. It's not used like that so much anymore. It's mainly, for me, a respiratory herb. It's very relaxing to the lungs and the bronchioles. So it's good for asthma, and it can definitely help breathing. So the other thing that lobelia is good for, it's called tobacco plant, and it's used for people that are trying to quit smoking because it covers the receptor sites of the tobacco and stops the desire for more of the addiction from nicotine. So it's used for that. And the really nice thing about lobelia also is that it's been very helpful during this COVID epidemic because of its relaxation qualities to the lungs. A lot of times people get tight lung feeling and they can't breathe, and lobelia is excellent for that. You come back to the plant, we talk about the fact that it's so, we need to harvest it fresh because fresh is the one that works for that purpose. When it's dried, it's not half as good. The other thing Lobelia does, it's a nervine. And so I'm going to start clipping a little bit of my baby plant. Got my little clippers. So here's the first couple of stems. So it's relaxing and it's a nervine. Nervine means that it works on the nervous system, and that's how it can relax the lungs during asthma attacks. But also, in certain doses, it can be stimulating as well. And when women are having a hard time with labor that hasn't progressed, it's used to help stimulate the uterus and promote contractions. So the opposite of that is don't use during pregnancy if you don't until you're ready for that to happen. So this is Lobelia, and I am so fortunate now to have it fresh, because in the dried form that you would get from the herb companies, it's just not as effective at all for the respiratory relaxation qualities to it. And it is a medium strength herb, so you have to be careful with dosage. And there's various dosages depending on if you want it to be stimulating or relaxing or puking, an emetic as they would call it. It has an alkaloid in it called a pyridine alkaloid. Sometimes we call that a PA, and that can be toxic in large amounts. So Lobelia has a strong taste, that alkaloid taste in the leaves if you chew on it, and it's one of these valuable remedies that should only be used in the hands of herbalists that are somewhat experienced or aware of the side effects and the pitfalls of taking too much. So here I am with my harvest. And what I will be doing with this is putting it up in our little trusty fresh tincture, which is a 1-to-2 proportion, 1 part herb to 2 parts alcohol, 100%, 95 to 100% alcohol that I've done before. And I will be processing it very, very soon, because the fresher the better. That makes the best medicine. So have fun with Lobelia, and I'm happy to introduce her to you right now.
Great.
Well, I've just finished harvesting the Lobelia, and I wanted to show you my basket of the fresh plant. So I don't know how much I have here. It's probably 7 or 8 ounces is all. It's not very heavy, but it's gonna be ready to make medicine. And what I did was I took some of the seed pods out of here, those little round balls that I had showed you before. And I cut off some of these seed pods and I put it in back into the dirt down here, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, even though this plant is an annual, it will, those seed pods may develop enough to reseed and start another crop. I certainly hope so. I planted this May 1st. I had it on I had this little marker. I use these little spoons, and I had written Lobelia, and the day of the planting was on, May 5/1. So May 1st, and it's the beginning of August now, so May, June, and July, it took 3 months for it to grow to its maturity. And so you can be sure I'll be growing some more of it next year. Hopefully it'll come up from my seed pods, and if not, they're easy to grow from the seed packet, which is what I grew these from. So wish me luck with my new medicine.